Good evening and welcome to the Weekly Voice presented by VNN. March 28, 2025. Let's get started. A possible turning point in Canada-U.S. relations, Prime Minister Mark Carney and President Donald Trump say formal negotiations for a new economic and security partnership will begin right after Canada's federal election. This announcement follows what both leaders described as a productive phone call, a major shift in tone after months of trade tension. Carney's office called the conversation constructive, while Trump posted on social media that it was extremely productive. Still, Carney plans to proceed with retaliatory tariffs next week in response to Trump's sweeping auto tariffs set to take effect April 2nd. He says his goal is to defend Canadian workers and prove to voters that he's the leader best positioned to guide Canada through high-stakes negotiations. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is promising to get tough on serious crime, unveiling a new policy that would impose automatic life sentences for repeat offenders convicted of human trafficking, gun smuggling, and large-scale fentanyl distribution. In a video released Friday, Poilievre pledged that 5 or more trafficking convictions, or the importation of 10 or more illegal firearms, would lead to mandatory life in prison. He's also doubling down on life sentences for major fentanyl traffickers, calling the policy a necessary step to protect communities, particularly in urban areas where violent crime has spiked. His announcement references incidents from Barrie to Markham, aiming to resonate with suburban voters across the Greater Toronto Area. As Canada faces a growing trade war with the United States, a wave of patriotic consumerism is taking hold. The Buy Canadian movement is gaining steam, with shoppers demanding homegrown products and companies responding by amplifying Canadian branding. Think maple leaves, red packaging, and Made in Canada labels. But marketing experts and regulators are raising a red flag. What you see may not always be what you get. The term maple washing is now trending, describing companies that use Canadian symbols to sell products that aren't actually made in Canada. Consumers have flagged items like sauces and produce grown in the U.S., but branded with maple leaves and other national imagery. The federal government has responded with a new guide that clarifies origin labels. Product of Canada means almost all materials and labor are domestic. Made in Canada only requires the last major transformation to take place here, meaning some imported content is allowed. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is making another major pitch to Canadian voters, this time targeting the economy with a plan to boost investment in homegrown businesses. If elected, Poilievre says his government would increase the tax-free savings account contribution limit by $5,000 annually, but only if that extra amount is invested in Canadian companies. The move would raise the TFSA cap from $7,000 to $12,000 for Canadians investing in domestic firms, giving savers a patriotic incentive to help stimulate the national economy. Poilievre says the plan will unleash Canadian innovation and strengthen the country's economic independence in the face of U.S. tariffs. With nearly 18 million Canadians holding a TFSA, the policy has the potential to resonate widely, especially among younger voters and self-directed investors seeking long-term growth without a tax hit. And overseas, the United Nations is racing to respond after a massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck Myanmar, killing nearly 150 people and leaving a path of destruction across the region. Secretary General Antonio Guterres confirmed that the UN has released $5 million from its Central Emergency Response Fund and is coordinating with regional partners to provide urgent aid. The epicenter was located near Mandalay, Myanmar's second-largest city. Several powerful aftershocks, including one measuring 6.4, added to the devastation. Damaged infrastructure includes bridges, a major dam, and government buildings, according to early reports. The Myanmar military government has accepted aid from India, and neighboring Thailand also reported damage as far as Bangkok. Meanwhile, UNICEF says its teams are already on the ground, assessing the impact and preparing to deliver humanitarian support. Canadians are sounding the alarm over a suspicious wave of election-related text messages asking citizens who they plan to vote for, and then probing for more personal details like postal codes and names. The messages, claiming to be from ERG National Research, have raised serious privacy concerns nationwide. Many recipients believe the texts were from a legitimate polling agency. But the group isn't a member of the Canadian Research Insights Council, the organization that regulates public opinion research, nor is it affiliated with reputable firms like Environics. In Calgary, one woman shared that she initially responded to what she thought was a quick survey, only to be asked for her full name. She backed out, and now cybersecurity experts are urging everyone to avoid replying altogether, even with a stop message, because that only confirms your number is active. In an exclusive interview with The Weekly Voice, Constant Contact says Canadian small businesses are showing strong resilience despite economic uncertainty. Their new Small Business Now report reveals 93% of early-stage entrepreneurs would choose this path again, even with current challenges. A big reason? AI and automation. Nearly 70% plan to use AI this year for content creation, data analysis, and personalized marketing. While social media remains the top channel, Constant Contact urges SMBs to diversify, emphasizing email and SMS as more reliable tools for conversion. The biggest challenge remains customer acquisition, but the message is clear. Businesses that embrace tech and build real customer relationships are the ones thriving in 2025. A Fulbright scholar from India is claiming betrayal by Columbia University after being forced to self-deport to Canada when her U.S. visa was suddenly revoked. Ranjini Srinivasan, a 37-year-old PhD student in public planning, fled to Canada on March 11th after U.S. immigration agents came to her home in New York. Srinivasan told Al Jazeera that she worked over 100 hours a week toward her doctorate and had completed all her academic requirements. But now, she says Columbia has gone silent, refusing to officially grant her degree or defend her publicly. As Donald Trump's trade war with Canada escalates, a new Ledger poll reveals a stunning twist. 1 in 5 Americans would rather see their state join Canada than endure the current political climate under Trump. Among young Americans aged 18 to 34, support rises to 30%, reflecting deep political division south of the border. The poll also shows that just 9% of Canadians would ever consider joining the U.S., highlighting the stark difference in public sentiment. Trump has previously joked about annexing Canada, but the poll suggests it's frustrated Americans who are dreaming of crossing the 49th parallel. The same poll found 2/3 of Americans oppose Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods, fearing they'll raise prices on essentials like meat, milk, and eggs. Economists agree, warning that both sides could suffer as trade tensions continue. The battle between Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and Liberal leader Mark Carney just intensified, this time over money, loyalty, and offshore accounts. Poilievre is accusing Carney of benefiting from offshore tax havens while at Brookfield Asset Management, all while proposing a Canada-First savings plan of his own. The Conservative plan? A $5,000 TFSA top-up, but only if the extra money is invested in Canadian assets. Poilievre says this new patriotic tax cut will help bring investment back home and boost local businesses. The idea is to keep capital in Canada, especially now with Trump's auto tariffs looming. That's all for today's top stories. Thank you for joining us on The Weekly Voice presented by VNN. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you next time.